getting no energy out of me tonight. I have nothing left to give this team or any of you. Welcome into the PHNX D-backs podcast. It's Sad Boy Hours, and we hope you're here to be angry with us. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the mayor of the city of Phoenix. This man next to me, he's normally Mr. Electric, but look at him. Look at what you've done to Shawn. You broke Shawn. This is Shawn DePaz.
About to take my ass back to Vegas.
Yeah, he's not happy. He was having a better time there. And of course, that man over there, he is the one that's going to talk us down off the ledge and make us put away the pitchforks. He is the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman. Boys, we saw, I don't know. Jesse was putting it the best way. We were watching the ninth inning, and Jesse just started to say, we should expect the worst and hope for the best. And we should have expected the worst because the Diamondbacks with a lead once again had their bullpen unable to hold a lead, unable to keep a game scoreless without letting a run score. Their 17th game in a row where the bullpen has allowed one earned run or more, and the Diamondbacks drop a game that was fairly Diamondbacks-esque this year. And unfortunately, the losses are becoming entirely too common as they drop their 5th game in a row. Now, obviously, we had the answer backs thing where, of course, we had some good things happening for this team, despite the fact that things looked shaky early on. Ryan Nelson was not great, obviously, but the Diamondbacks were able to find a way to get a lead and to hold a lead up until that 9th inning. But, of course, as you guys all saw, things weren't good. Ryan Nelson, though, of course, was not very good at home at Chase Field. Once again, he has not been good at home all season, and I don't understand this, Jesse. I don't understand how splits can be so significant for a pitcher like this.
Yeah, they continue to be very significant. He gave up 5 runs over 6 innings today, and his ERA at home went down because it was 8.08 coming into this game. Now it's down to 8.01. But you're right, this game very much was kind of a microcosm of the Diamondback season. Right, the opposing team gets up early, D-backs come back. Opposing team gets up a little bit more, D-backs come back. Big hit from Evan Longoria. He appeared to be the hero of this game at one point not that long ago with his big 2-run double. But then at the end, when push comes to shove and the D-backs need outs in the 9th inning, they're just not able to get those outs. And today it was Andrew Chafin's turn. And Andrew Chafin did what he's done in the past and what a number of other Diamondbacks relievers have done in the past in these situations, which is just really struggle to get those last 3 outs of the game. And it wasn't just, a 1-run defeat. I mean, the Diamondbacks gave up as many runs in the 9th inning as they'd given up the entire game up to that point. So today was obviously a disaster in the 9th inning for this team. And they made some noise in the bottom of the 9th against Jordan Hicks. But when you're down 4 runs, that's obviously a pretty tough spot to be in.
Christian Walker hit a home run, and I was glad he did because in his previous 2 at-bats, he very much looked like just defeated already, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was an odd feeling at the ballpark today. It was an odd feeling to not see, I was joking with Jesse, but the guys weren't on the field very much. Like, we didn't see them very much prior to the game. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like the confidence level has kind of sunk here a little bit. I feel like the team, we talked a lot about the mindset. We talked about coming in to this series or any series and knowing you can win it, not hoping you don't lose it. And I feel like they're drifting into that confidence level. We saw them, though, put up a good fight today, at least offensively. They did what they've been able to do this year, like what we saw in that ridiculous slugfest with the Braves, which was have the answer backs, right?
Yeah.
But this situation with the 9th inning and the bullpen is becoming just an absolute nightmare for Torey Lovullo. It feels like it doesn't matter who he puts in there. It feels like they're going to blow the game.
Boys,
that's the first word Shawn has said this entire show.
I'm fucking miserable.
I know you are.
This shit
We are
This
5.5 minutes
shit
in.
sucks.
We are 5.5 minutes in, and that's the first
No.
thing Shawn
I said something at the very beginning. I said I was going to take my ass back to Vegas. This shit sucks.
True. Yeah,
this
sucks.
mean, there's at the first half of the season was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of hope. But even when they're winning games now, it just feels like it's they were it was like a lesser of 2 evils type of thing. Like, they were not the better team. They were just less sucky than the other one.
Yeah, that's true.
And Like, I know a lot of people want to blame Torey, but like at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys just not doing their jobs, like as baseball players.
Well, and you said it feels like ever since the Mets series that this has been a completely different team, and it has seemed like that.
Yeah, and obviously there's like a couple of things, like obviously Merrill being hurt, and now Gabby and Zach Davies, I guess. There's a couple of things going wrong, but like I said, at the end of the day, there's just a lot of guys not really doing their jobs, and it makes for really unbearable baseball at times. Because it's not like they just suck, right? Like, it's not just like they're a bad team. They're a good team that's not performing, and it's very frustrating to watch because you know they can, and sometimes they do, and they give you hope. Like the 2 RBI double from Longo, for example, and then someone else comes along to absolutely ruin it.
Just can't have nice things.
Can't have.
Now I feel like we're talking overall the bigger arc here, right? Like of the frustrating 5-game losing streak and beyond that. But this particular game, I think rightfully so. We have heard a lot of people on Twitter. We've seen a lot of the comments in the chat about why Andrew Chafin. Now, we were discussing who they were going to bring out. We were throwing
we threw a poll out there.
We even threw a poll out there. This was the results of the poll. And honestly, Andrew Chafin wasn't your selection. It wasn't. Do we have the results of the poll? Yeah, let's throw that up there. I want to see this. This is Kevin Ginkel was your choice.
And I'm pretty sure
by a pretty wide margin.
But unanimous decision in the office as well, too.
Yes.
We all agree that.
Right. And the biggest thing here that many people have pointed out was the number of righties that Chafin was due to face in the inning. Should he be the one that Torey went to?
Yeah, I mean, it was DeYoung, Motter, and Kinzer, I guess, which turned into Contreras there, all right-handed hitters. So it didn't necessarily make a ton of sense to go to the left-handed Andrew Chafin. But yeah, we put out this poll a few minutes before the 9th inning started just to see who you all wanted to see in the 9th inning, try to close this one out. And it kind of feels like they were all wrong answers in a sense, right? Like there is this real element of, you can try to blame Torey Lovullo for this in some sense, but Kevin Ginkel came in the game with the bases loaded and he gave up a base clearing double. Like that was sort of the final blow to the Diamondbacks in this game. Obviously a really tough spot for him, right? Coming in with the bases loaded. That's not a soft landing. Maybe it's a better outcome if he comes into a clean inning. But the reality is the Diamondbacks don't have any pitchers on this roster who are really built for those situations. Yeah. And so Torey Lovullo is just out there, trying to ride the hot hand, I guess, or find the best matchups or whatever, when in reality, there just isn't a great matchup most of the time, it seems like. And especially in this 9th inning. I mean, some of these relievers have had success in the 7th inning and the 8th inning, but in this 9th inning, pretty much universally, Castro, Chafin, McGuff, all of these guys have really struggled when it's mattered the most.
So calling out who is to blame here. You have Torey or you have the front office. Obviously, Torey.
Or you have the players themselves, which I feel like we have to at least mention.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was thinking.
Let's do it. Let's mention that. I mean, because that seems to be the two choices that people. Is it Torey's fault or is it not Torey's fault because he's not being given the bullets right in the gun? But yeah, when do you start saying like, why can't any of you do your goddamn job?
Yeah, I mean, like,
17 games in a fucking row with giving up 1 earned run or more. 17.
A lot of those.
Normal
it's been more than one
games. Normal baseball teams do not have this problem. They do not have a bullpen that's so unreliable that for those fucking 2 or 3 innings we asked you to pitch, you can't keep the game scoreless. Not one time in 17 straight games. Do your job. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's calling for Torey, like GWS. I don't know if that's, but like they said in the chat, Chafin walked in a run, or John said it. Chafin walked in a run. Like, you're an MLB pitcher. You can't be walking in runs with bases loaded. With the bases loaded, like,
give him something to fuck. Go challenge him. Don't walk him in. Don't walk him in.
No,
right?
And so like, sure, Like at this point, it seems like Torey's only way to win, at least amongst the fans, is just doing whatever the fans say. Because if you leave Scott McGuffin there and that goes terribly wrong, well, then you're an idiot for leaving Scott McGuffin. If you put in Ginkel, I mean, the fans would still probably blame Torey for some reason, even though that's what they seem to have wanted if he had blown it. Obviously, Chafin was the wrong call. Castro, everyone would have gotten upset about. So it's like, yeah.
When do we start calling players bums?
Yeah, and it's because like
not blaming Torey,
the reality
right?
is that like they've all performed well at parts of the year, so it's not like Hazen is a complete. It's not like he picked me to pitch out of the bullpen.
Andrew Chafin came into this game with a sub-3 ERA.
Yeah, that's why I joked when Hicks came out. Like Chafin's better than Hicks.
Legitimate thing I said was like we would shade for Chafin now based on his ERA. Like
Diamondbacks fans would absolutely be viewing Chafin as like this god trade target from another organization.
And honestly, Chafin just has not been very good lately. When you start to look at Chafin over his last 7 games, over his last 10 games, his ERA skyrockets compared to that season ERA. He was very good early on, as many of these guys were, but we know about Miguel Castro and Chafin both being overutilized by Torey Lovullo early on when he leaned on them a bunch. And I mean, Chafin's a new dad, and you just never know how that's going to impact people sometimes, right?
He's not sleeping.
This is a man that understands it and definitely empathizes with his position.
Hey, he's been on the road for the last 3 days. He's been getting sleep.
Meanwhile, having a kid made Scott McGuff a superhuman for a small period of time. So you just never know how these guys are going to react to being a new dad or whatever. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, you can't say that Torey Lovullo hasn't tried. However, I am with you when you take a look at the lineup, the righties that Chafin faced, the guys he walked, the guys that got on base, and maybe think that maybe going with someone else was a better option. Maybe going with Kevin Ginkel would have been a better option. Like Ginkel did get put in in a bad spot in that situation, and you can't just immediately say, well, see, he would have blown it too. Like you have no idea how that would have gone had he started the inning with a clean inning.
Ginkel with the bases empty against the bottom 3 hitters in the Cardinals lineup, all being like not their best hitters. Yeah, like on paper, that's a favorable matchup. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I think we are also kidding ourselves if we say that, Ginkel clearly would have saved this game unscathed at the same time.
And I mean, I feel like we need to mention that we were just like a couple innings removed from praising Torey for a managerial decision in going to Longo and leaving Longo in there after they not double switching or whatever. So I mean, this is especially like people sit here all the time and criticize the bullpen for not being trustworthy, and then they're gonna he's got to put somebody out there, and no one's consistent. So somebody. Granted, again, everyone here was sitting, or not. Everyone on Twitter and stuff was sitting here saying it should have been Ginkel, but like Jesse just said, we're gonna sit here and pretend that Ginkel is like prime Mariano Rivera, and it was just a guarantee if he got out here that it was gonna no. And like you can criticize Torey for maybe leaving in Chafin a little too long, but like that's why I think where the criticism has to end as far as this particular game is concerned.
I mean, I think the criticism ultimately has to fall on the players a bit at some point. Like, yeah, Torey has utilized all these guys. Like now, every guy in the bullpen has that like memory fans are going to have from this season of them blowing games. So like everybody's going to have their Scott McGuff, Miguel Castro, Andrew Chafin that they're like, no, I don't want to see that guy in there, right? Well, you're right, because none of these guys have been as effective as it would be if you had a reliable closer and like a setup man. I'm starting to think Scott McGuff is looking pretty good for that setup role, and I'm hoping that maybe Torey Lovullo changes his position on this if the Diamondbacks are able to miraculously get a solid bullpen arm before the trade deadline. But we have some candidates for the Arizona Diamondbacks to target in regards to that. We do have to give out our king snake though, and even for a game like this, we do not. This was not on the offense for sure. So our king snake for this game, of course, I don't know. So it's a fun surprise to me too. Evan Longoria, he did put the team ahead, gave the Arizona Diamondbacks a great opportunity. Honestly, made Torey Lovullo look pretty smart in that moment when he pinch hit Evan Longoria and he gets the big hit, drives in the RBI and gives the Diamondbacks the lead there. Momentarily until, of course, we know what happened later. But shout out to Evan Longoria for still being a guy that can be relied on. Looking at you, bullpen. Looking at the rest of your bullpen. But you can rely on BetMGM, by the way. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, you should do so. They have Nerfy Fridays, no run first inning Fridays. It's a fun promotion that you can get on the BetMGM Sports app. You do have to be an active user. How to get in on this offer is very easy. Just opt into the promotion first on the app. Place a no-run first inning bet on any Major League Baseball game on a Friday. You do that by betting no on the will there be a run in the first inning market. And if your bet loses, but only one run is scored during the first inning, you will receive a bonus bet equaling your stake up to $25. So remember, that is available only on Friday. And of course, if you haven't signed up for the BetMGM app yet, use bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our Arizona audience, place your first bet and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use your bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 Nevada, 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa, 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan, 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
Well, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Big shout out to Tony in the chat. He sent the super chat. He said Derek is right. Of course, I'm going to give you a shout out anytime you say Derek is right. He said Lovullo.
You don't even have to super chat that one.
Yeah, totally.
Derek will
I'll star it. I'll say
that.
it. I'll put it up at the top of the chat for you. He said Lovullo is an easy target at this point, but these guys have to do their job, and that's it. That's really it. I mean, that's what Torey is looking for. That's what any baseball manager is looking for, is do your job, and allow me to rely on you when I need you. So, but again, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever we go live. Also, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, please subscribe to us there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. And make sure you leave us a thumbs up in the chat. We need that. We need that emotional support on a night like this. We also need you guys as our diehard members. If you are not already a PHNX diehard member, make sure to join us today. Not only will you get wonderful benefits such as membership or a ranch card from Dobson Ranch Golf Course, get you all sorts of wonderful things, including just free range balls, which is one of my favorite things to do out of a golf course. You also get free $50 gift certificate from Mountain Mike's. You get all sorts of wonderful benefits from PHNX as well, including free piece of merchandise from the PHNXlocker.com. You get 20% off all future purchases. You get access to Jesse's newsletter, Full Count, and all the newsletters for all of our writers here. You also get our Discord lounge access as well, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. Discounts on our events, discounts with our partners, special membership, member-only merchandise, and more. And you get, again, discounts to events like our upcoming PHNX Takeover event, which, by the way, we only have 4 tickets left to and is coming up tomorrow. We saw some questions about it in the chat. We are doing the rare abandonment of Mailbag Monday, but we will not leave you without a mailbag episode this week. So we will be back tomorrow with a Mailbag Tuesday episode.
Is that legal? Can you do that?
I checked the bylines. I was with Megaran when I made this decision, and he okayed it. So, okay. I mean, as long as he allows it, then we can use the song on Tuesday and everything works out. But make sure to join us tomorrow for that takeover event. We're going to break this losing streak together as a family. We're all going to be in the outfield. I shouldn't have said that out loud because we know that's not going to happen now. I don't know what camera I'm looking at anymore, Jacob. You have so many cameras in here. We're not used to this. We go and
see it on the
we
screen,
look at one camera the whole time. Anyway, but yeah, if you have not gotten a ticket to the takeover event, join us now. Go get it now. And if you're a diehard member, you will get a discount on that as well. So make sure to do that. Like I said, though, Diamondbacks losing streak reaches 5 games. Unfortunately, they did get swept this weekend by the Cincinnati Reds. And that wasn't great. I don't know if they really look like. What's that?
I says, as John says, at least we have Marte.
At least we have Marte. And Ellie De La Cruz is public enemy number 1 for Damon, who I think is here in the chat. So if you want to know why Damon isn't behind the Mac and we have Faj, aka Jacob, behind the Mac, it might have something to do with him trying to take out Ellie De La Cruz. But Brandon Pfaadts was not terrible, Jesse, in his start against the Reds.
He wasn't. Yeah, 6 innings, 3 runs, and And even that, I mean, I don't know if that really tells the whole story. The Reds had the bases loaded with nobody out against him in the first inning. He's able to work out of that inning. I think it was back-to-back strikeouts, then a ground out. Didn't allow a run in the first. Retired 15 consecutive batters through the next several innings of that game. And then the sixth inning came around. I believe he got the first out, and then he allowed a home run. Then he allowed another home run. And he allowed another home run. And he was able to finish off the inning, 6 innings, 3 runs. Altogether, a really good start for him. Probably the best start that he's had in his short major league career.
Very
at this point. No walks in the game, 6 strikeouts, got some swing and miss with both the sweeper and the changeup. And yeah, I mean, the home run continues to be a bit of an issue for Brandon Pfaadt. 3 homers in 6 innings. That's dangerous territory to be in. Obviously, the ball does fly a little bit out there in Cincinnati, but yeah, it was a good start. I think it was an encouraging game all the way around for Brandon Pfaadt, even though the Diamondbacks unfortunately weren't able to come up with the win.
Damon's in the midst of a covert operation. Says nothing else can be said.
That particular game, the Diamondbacks didn't really give him much support there as far as run support. He gave him a chance to win, and it's very encouraging as far as his progression goes. But yeah, the Diamondbacks just kind of got walked over a bit there by the Reds. And I mean, there's something to be said about the energy of that team. It felt like they stole our mojo. And I'm not saying in this series, but to watch them, it was very much what we were experiencing in April and May. And it feels like the Diamondbacks just don't have that level of electricity, if you will, Mr. Electricity, right now. And I don't know how they can get it back.
No, that's what I was saying earlier in the show. It doesn't feel the same. Like even when they win, it's not as fun as it was at the beginning of the year. I don't really know what the answer is. I mean, I think the only real possible answer is an injection of life at the deadline. Like, they clearly, I mean, say it every show, they need help.
We need like a JD Martinez level.
They need 1 or 2 guys that Torey can be confident in going to out of the bullpen, and obviously another arm and another bat. Like so if they can, that's why I'm not completely panicking yet, because like I know this is not necessarily the plan, but like they're going to address some things presumably. Presumably. I mean, if they keep losing, maybe not. But if they can address some things at the deadline, then it'll be fine. And hopefully that kind of brings that electricity back. They have a little bit of an injection of life again. But outside of that, then it's just it's something they're just gonna have to figure out. Like I don't know that it's there's really like a problem. There's just something they got to figure out.
Am I crazy? Okay, wait. No, I'm sorry. I am crazy. I was, for some reason, on the MLB.com has been doing some wild stuff lately, including disagreeing with the umpires' calls on game day and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, as it stands right now, the Arizona Diamondbacks, things aren't great. Obviously things are not great, but the other teams that are in the wild card hunt, along with the Diamondbacks, have also been very bad. And that's good, because that's the one thing right now keeping the Diamondbacks in the hunt. And when I say very bad, I mean like the Miami Marlins have lost 8 games in a row. Is that right?
The Marlins
could be worse.
The Marlins just won, but yeah, I believe they had lost 8 games in a row.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy how bad some of these teams have been, and how the Diamondbacks have been able to stay right there in the wild card hunt. I mean, they've dropped back in the division, but as much as everybody wants to panic, and I understand wanting to panic, things are still good for the Diamondbacks, and I really do feel like they can definitely bounce back from this terrible period of time they're going through right now.
They're definitely in a buy spot in my book. I mean, yes, the Diamondbacks aren't playing good baseball right now, but they are still 54-47 and tied with 2 other teams. Both the Marlins and the Giants are 54-47 along with them at this point. The Reds have the best record of any team in the wild card race. They just lost today. They're 55-47. Mm-hmm. So the D-backs are half a game out from having the best record of any of the wild card teams.
Right.
So even though, I mean, it's what you said, even though they're not playing good baseball at all, the fact that those other teams aren't playing good baseball either means the Diamondbacks are still very much in the thick of this race, and they're still in a pretty good spot in the grand scheme of things. So, if you're looking for, some positives after a game like this, I don't have much for you in terms of how the Diamondbacks are playing. It's frankly been really bad. They've lost 13 out of their last 17 games.
Luckily,
They're
all
2
suck.
They're
we
2-8
suck.
in the second half. But yeah, all of the teams are just terrible, except the Reds are sort of the latest team to get hot. But they just lost 6 in a row as of a few days ago. So
you guys were mocking. You guys were mocking me. You guys were mocking me before I said about the Cardinals. They are 7-3 in their last 10, and they are the hottest team in the National League that is not currently leading their division. I just say that
I just want to put this on record that the Philadelphia Phillies being a half game out of a wild card spot absolutely fucking terrifies me.
Yeah, well,
the Phillies, could make a case have more staying power than like the Marlins. I would maybe make that argument.
Terrifies me. I'm just saying they're
right there.
What was success defined as for this team at the beginning of the year?
Playoff spot.
It was
it a playoff spot or was it
trade deadline?
Fighting for a playoff spot?
What Mike Hazen said.
Yeah, fair.
And they're still doing it. And even though they continue to lose just about every day.
The offense is fighting. The pitching is not fighting.
Yeah.
Well, okay. We got some good things coming, though, including Merrill Kelly returning to this lineup, Zach Gallen pitching at home, and other things. So, I mean, I'm not completely discouraged. I just think we said this about the Dodgers, right? We tried to warn people about the Dodgers. The Dodgers had lost some exceptional players, and that was the reason why they'd gone through their little rut. But the Dodgers are back, and of course it doesn't matter. Jason Hayward has double-digit home run. It doesn't matter if you go on that team, you're going to be good. So like that's the way it works out with the Dodgers. But I think the Diamondbacks do deserve at least the excuse here of their pitching being an absolute mess. It really wasn't that solid in the first place, but once Merrill Kelly left the starting rotation, things unraveled. And that's because Merrill is the mainstay, and they didn't have those two guys that they could rely on pitching every 5 days that could kind of get things back on track for them. And that now we're seeing what happened. I mean, there's a lot of problems. But going back to the Brandon Pfaadts start from the Reds, if Brandon Pfaadts can be more of this, if the Diamondbacks can at least get that from Pfaadts and get Merrill Kelly back to the lineup, I'm fairly encouraged. Now, I'm not ready to say that with that starting pitching rotation, they're going to do much in the playoffs or be much of a contender if they don't do something at the trade deadline. But I'm saying that this team will have some stability again, I think, at in the starting rotation once we get Kelly back, and if Pfaadts can continue to be anywhere close to this.
Yeah, I mean, everything is kind of connected in a way, right? You lose you're one of your best starting pitchers, presumably, or theoretically, I guess. You have your starters go less deep into games. You have to rely on your bullpen more. Your bullpen gets used more. They become less effective. It does. You kind of have to hope that is kind of the situation, right? And once you get Mert back, and I mean, I don't know that Davies back makes the team better, but at least it provides some kind of stability. Like you know what you can expect, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Like
Damon just discovered that Hayward has an 802 OPS.
Yeah,
that's better than All-Star.
Yeah,
Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
Shut up.
Anyway, he's really
that was unnecessary. But like I said, Merrill Kelly is coming back. Let's take a look at the probables for this series or the rest of the series, because I'm sure it will be announced after tonight's game. We didn't get a chance to see it officially, but Merrill Kelly should be back in the rotation tomorrow with Zach Gallen following him. And man, that right there, boys, that is a sight for sore eyes.
It really is.
Oh man,
I just worked out the numbers. The Diamondbacks are 6-15 since Merrill Kelly went on the injured list, and you really can. I think someone mentioned it in the chat. You can kind of pinpoint that is when things really started blowing up for the Diamondbacks. Obviously, he's just one pitcher. A lot of other things have gone wrong. It's not all because of Merrill Kelly, but for a while, the D-backs have been rolling with Zach Gallen, who hasn't really been at his best lately, and just a bunch of other guys that you just didn't really know what you were going to get, right? Davies has obviously really struggled in that span. Tommy Henry wasn't so great his last time out. Ryan Nelson has been sort of all or nothing lately, it's felt like. So, yeah, getting Merrill Kelly back is absolutely huge for the Diamondbacks. And, I mean, having Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen for the rest of the series has to feel pretty good. Like, you have the better pitcher going in each of these next two games. You still have a very real chance of winning this series.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing at the chat, man. Like,
it's sad hours in the chat, and it's understandably
hours,
so.
but like we said, man, they're still in the playoffs, Pfaadts. Everyone's playing bad baseball. Like, it's obviously not fun, and I'm sad as shit about how this has been going. But
he's the saddest of all of us.
But like,
sure.
relax, man. I'm not sitting here being like the season's over. Like, Jose's in the chat saying the D-backs suck, and we all just, I mean, chill, my guy. Like, relax. It's gonna be okay.
I understand though.
2 days from now, they're gonna have won 2 games and have won the series, and no one's gonna give a shit anymore. And because like this is what everyone was doing this after the Toronto series, and then they took 2 of 3 against the Braves, and everyone's like the D-backs are back, and now they're getting their ass beat again, and they're gonna win 2 games, and then everyone's like, oh, the D-backs are back. Like this is how this shit's gone for the last month basically. Yeah. And I'm not gonna get all worked up one way or the other. Like the season's over or this is a World Series team, either way, until they actually change the roster. Yeah. Like it's just relax, man.
Well, I agree with Zona Tucson 93. It says these next 2 games are critical. And I mean, again, they're still just regular season games, but it really does feel like they can't let this losing streak go on, and they can't get swept with Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen on the mound in back-to-back days. Like that would be, I think, realistically speaking, that would be the end of days. That would be the end of all confidence level for this team should they lose 2 series in a row, getting swept in both of them and all that. I don't foresee that happening. I think that this team is entirely too good for that. But right now they definitely have an identity crisis about if they can win games. What is giggling?
No, okay, well, first
Jacob,
off,
shut up.
Jack coming after Shawn
over there.
First off, Elise suggesting that I don't know nothing about no sports trauma. Do you know where I am from?
A place that
I was born in trauma.
Yeah.
You just,
I was gonna say you're fans of teams that won a bajillion things though, other than the Bills
and the Buffalo Sabres. Now they're which have won a national championship.
You're a Red Sox fan though, so
I was a Red Sox fan.
Secondly, I like what I think what Saki said. It's like we baseball fans, baseball fans are so fair weather. It is 162 games
exactly,
season,
and we're losing our minds off of 5 games. Sure, like
I will say though, like how the Diamondbacks perform over the next week is very critical to how the rest of their season goes, because it will probably have at least some role in dictating what they do at the trade deadline. I think we're all in agreement this team needs some reinforcements in order to feel good about things moving forward. They might not feel the need to go get those reinforcements if they don't start to play competitive baseball over like if they go like 2-5 or something in the next week, you really might not be talking about a team that's buying at the trade deadline.
And it's also the buying. The buying, like we don't think that this team is going to. They don't have much to sell, right? So we don't foresee them like selling a bunch or all of a sudden making like just calling their season a wrap.
If they did sell, it would be like Lourdes Gurriel and. If any teams want any rental relievers
over my
from
dead
the
body,
Diamondbacks,
over my dead body. But
yeah, that would be a tough moment for you, a tough moment for the podcast in general.
Can I bring the vibes up real quick?
What I will say though, real fast, is just that Mike Hazen was put in a difficult position when we talked about this season being unexpectedly good, maybe having to make some decisions that he wasn't really, not expecting to make, but really wanting to make. Because this team was maybe at a level that, you would almost be negligent to not make a big trade or try to make a big move to make a team that's already this good into that much of a contender. But it also had a lot to do with the schedule and a lot to do with things we were talking about early on in the season. I mean, there's just a lot of factors that impacted the Diamondbacks being where they're at. And the one thing that has been consistent is that when they've faced some of their bigger tests throughout the season, they haven't really done a great job of playing in those series, right? So like, I don't know this team's identity, but like Jesse said, it is important for Mike Hazen to try to figure it out and figure out the direction they're going so that they don't mortgage their future on a trade that could potentially, I mean, God forbid, but they make a big trade or they make a big splash and then they don't even make the playoffs.
Right.
That's like the absolute nightmare, scenario for the front office.
For sure.
All right. What were you saying? Bringing the vibes up?
Dalton Varsho just had a 2 RBI double on the top of the 11th to give the Blue Jays a 5-3 lead over the Dodgers.
I'm conflicted.
I don't know if that really brings the vibes.
No,
Dodgers losing. They're still only 4 games out of the division.
Dodgers Dalton Varsho.
Yeah, but
Who can? It's
He's
Cubs.
Gabriel
He's
Moreno's
helping us.
injured right
yeah,
now.
Dalton Varsho.
Dalton Varsho. And Lourdes Gurriel is a league average hitter at best. Jesse said it earlier. Are you guys not paying attention? This is sad. You
Dalton
made me
Varsho's
sad.
batting 213.
Okay, that's
Who gives a shit? He
all
just
right,
had
that makes
a
me
2
all
RBI
right.
double and extras against the fucking Dodgers.
Okay.
I'm
You
going to
got me back.
celebrate it.
You got me back.
Thank you.
You got me back. Thank you. That's all I needed. But
Fuck the Dodgers, man.
I also need to make a pit stop on the way home at Circle K, and I mean that because I'm very low on gas, and I also want to see this guy in a gas pump. So make sure to stop by your local Circle K, as I will on my way home. Maybe we'll meet up there. Who knows? We'll get a coffee together. They have the best coffee, beer and snack selection, and premium gas. Of course, you can stock up at Circle K, which is America's thirst stop. They have all sorts of wonderful deals available right now, including buy 2 get 1 free Monster Energy drinks, which I need absolutely. They have Beatbox Hard tea, which I tried for the first time, and I really like that. You can get those buy 2 get 1 free. And they also have, you can buy Powerade at 4 for $5, and you'll be entered into a drawing to potentially win a 2023 Ford Big Bend Bronco SUV. So make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff. Right now, text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And when you're there, grab some Four Peaks beer. Four Peaks beer, of course, is the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have their Rattle On Red Ale, which they really need to get that Rattle On part back to their game. But, of course, you can check out that beer and their wide variety of wonderful beers they have to offer. Check out their Four Peaks Draft Room at Chase Field if you're there. We will be at Chase Field tomorrow. Again, we normally are doing our meetups there, so make sure for future takeover events you join us at the Four Peaks Draft Room. It's located on the suite level, and you can watch the entire game from there. If you don't like your seats, it's a great place to watch the game. And, of course, great food to be had and great beer, even better beer. So follow them at Four Peaks Brewer or go to their calendar at fourpeaks.com/events to stay up to date on everything Four Peaks. Again, check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest. Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Well, boys, the trade deadline is just 8 days away. We have August 1st at some ridiculous time in the middle of the day that the trade deadline ends. And, of course, as much as me and this guy thought we were crazy, we were maniacs, we were just going off the rails without Jesse here talking about the Diamondbacks trading for Shohei Ohtani, it appears that where there was smoke, there might be a little bit of fire. That the Diamondbacks, according to this tweet from John Rossi, are one of 2 teams. Orioles, Diamondbacks among teams. Like he says, Orioles, Diamondbacks among teams. Among what teams? All the teams?
Yeah,
Every
right.
team in baseball that wants Shohei Ohtani on their team? But yes, the Orioles and D-backs among teams inquiring with the Angels about Shohei Ohtani's trade availability. Both clubs' interest has been described as a due diligence. Both teams have the young talent base conducive to make a trade. What do you guys think about this? I think
it'd be really interesting to see him in an Orioles jersey.
That's your reaction to that tweet?
No, I mean, like,
get out.
Like, I know.
Just get out.
I mean, I think
Look,
it would. That
I know this game broke you, but get the fuck out.
Just real quick.
You are a Red
theory,
Sox fan.
Could you imagine Shohei Ohtani in Baltimore, Maryland? Like,
No.
that in and of itself is just a hilarious idea. But, by the way, 6'3" Blue Jays, they just walked in a run.
Let's go.
It's cool. I guess it's nice to see that they're at least kicking the tires, but it doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Like,
No. And
of course they did.
I don't think it should. Jesse, does it mean anything to you, especially when he's like they're doing their due diligence? Like, I mean, I
He
feel
better
like,
be.
I feel like
Hazen better be
everybody's
doing his due
checking in,
diligence,
right?
Yeah, I mean, if the Diamondbacks wanted to trade for Shohei Ohtani, and I guess if the Angels, of course, were willing to part with him, the Diamondbacks could do it. They absolutely have the prospects. There's, I mean, if the Angels want more than Drew Jones plus Jordan Lawler plus like. The Diamondbacks have the pieces to make this happen. Absolutely. If the Angels were willing to part with him.
And if the Diamondbacks are willing to part with those pieces, that
might be the bigger question there. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the D-backs would at least do their due diligence in the same way I wasn't surprised with the Lucas Giolito report the other day. D-backs, I believe John Morosi was the one behind that as well, that the D-backs had checked in on Lucas Giolito of the White Sox. this is the time of year where pretty much any team that's buying is doing their due diligence on basically every player that is possibly being sold. So you're kind of just doing your job at this point. But it is admittedly fun, when those reports come to light. A little bit less fun when Gambo shoots them down within 3 minutes. I believe he said that the Diamondbacks are not trading for Shohei Ohtani, and he pretty much just left it at that. But
wait, we got trade reaped? Can we steal the thing from the Suns?
You can tell.
Forget about it.
There it is. Look, you guys stole Mailbag Monday from us. Don't think we didn't notice that, so we'll steal all of your shit. Trade reaped. Done. No Ohtani to Phoenix. Sorry, but we do have some actual good trades to talk about. We have some potential trade deadline targets for the Arizona Diamondbacks, which we have been talking about for now, like the last 2 weeks plus, because really, especially based on games like tonight, the Diamondbacks need help. And again, we once again want to pick clean the carcass of the Chicago White Sox, Jesse, because that's really, that seems to be the big focus. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say about our last trade target and Dylan Cease, so we'll pick at another one in the White Sox organization.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox are a team that they have a lot of interesting pieces to sell, despite not being a very good team. The piece we're going to talk about today, a little bit less interesting than some of the other ones we've talked about. It's right-handed pitcher Lance Lynn. If you look at his stats for the season, you're gonna cry. You're not gonna be happy with what you see.
I don't like
a
it.
6.18 ERA, a 1.44 whip, 115 innings. He is averaging right around 6 innings per start, 10.9 Ks per 9, 3.4 walks per 9, a FIP of 5.28. Yeah, you're kind of like, aren't we trying to be better? Like we're trying to get better, right? We're not trying to, find another starting pitcher that is unpredictable and unreliable. But there are some signs here with Lance Lynn that you have to like. I believe he has the 8th highest strikeout rate in all of baseball. That's really ticked up for him, even though his velo has gone down. And the reason his ERA is so high is very much directly attributable to him allowing home runs. He's allowed a stupid number of home runs this season.
That hasn't been a problem at this stadium, has it?
Generally speaking, home runs are a little bit unpredictable, but the rate of home runs per fly ball that he's allowing right now is like off the charts ridiculous. And I think a lot of teams are comfortable predicting that to come down to earth over time, in which case his other peripherals suggest he'd be a pretty decent starting pitcher. So he is a name that I think teams will look at, and a name the Diamondbacks could look at as well.
In regards to other trade targets that we've discussed, he would be much more affordable, obviously.
One would hope.
And with the Chicago White Sox kind of having a fire sale and potentially getting rid of a lot of their pitchers, Lance Lynn might be one that comes a bit cheaper. Let's take a look at the pros and cons of targeting Lance Lynn. Of course, prospect costs being a big part there. And him being a veteran, honestly. Like, that's something that the Diamondbacks kind of need. It's worked out in other ways, but when you look at their starting rotation, I mean, Merrill Kelly's the vet here, and I mean, he's not pitched very long in Major League Baseball, all things considered.
Right. And on the con side, the homers are, like we mentioned, the big thing. He's allowed 28. The man's allowed 28 home runs in 115 innings. That's not great. Another con, his contract is a little interesting. He has a team option for next year. I believe it's for $16 million. Presumably, no team is going to pick that up. He does have a no trade clause to 10 different teams. I do not believe the Diamondbacks are among them. Should make things a lot simpler for them. But yeah, the biggest con is he has a 6.18 ERA.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you want to believe in the peripherals and the home run per fly ball rate coming down to earth, it's pretty hard, I think, for a fan base to stomach buying at the trade deadline and bringing in a pitcher with an ERA that starts with a 6. Anyone who's hesitant there, I absolutely understand where you're coming from.
Tony said, do not speak of Lance Lynn on this show ever again. We will not, Tony. I promise, or I hope we don't. Joey Lent says, Keuchel 2.0. Oh, come on. He's not that old.
He like actually strikes people out.
Yeah,
like Dallas
yeah,
Keuchel
he
hasn't
has-
done that for years at this
That's very
point. So
true.
I don't think they're very comparable.
Yes, we are trying to sell you on Lance Lynn, like a used car salesman trying to sell you a 2001 Civic. Look, these Civics, they do great. Jesse will tell you all about this Civic. He'll sell you a RAV4 with.
Oh, I'm not selling my RAV4.
No, not your RAV4,
Just
a
a
RAV4.
RAV4.
A
Oh,
RAV4.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he'll sell you a RAV4. He'll do all sorts of stuff. But of course, like you said, I think the biggest thing there is how does he improve this team? Is he an improvement? And
I could
is he
maybe
going to be
see
worth
it.
what they give up for him potentially, even if it is not even, a household name or something, but, a prospect that we still don't know, what they're going to be at a major league level.
Yeah, I think that's the appeal of trading for Lance Lynn. Like if the D-backs want a fit, like they're not really sold on 2023. They don't necessarily think that they're going all the way. They at least want to like kind of dip their feet in the water and try to get a little bit better. And they probably, like their in-house projections, I imagine, would say that Lance Lynn is going to be a better pitcher the rest of the way than who the D-backs would have occupying that spot otherwise. And getting him would be way cheaper than getting a lot of other pitchers on the market, right? You could get Lance Lynn and have the White Sox pay the majority of his salary and not give up any big-time prospects theoretically. So at least you would hope. We don't know exactly how the market is gonna develop, but you wouldn't be shocked if like Lance Lynn gets traded and he has an ERA of 4.1 or 4.2 the rest of the way, and whatever team trades for him, if that happened, would probably be really happy that they did.
Perhaps the Arizona Diamondbacks got to see a tryout tonight from another young pitcher that they could potentially target at the trade deadline. Depending on what the St. Louis Cardinals do, Jordan Hicks might be a name that the Diamondbacks look into. And after watching him throw 100 miles an hour effortless for an inning, I kind of am on board with it.
Yep.
However, he wasn't great tonight, so I'm not trying to base everything on tonight. But let's take a look at Jordan Hicks' stats this season, because he's been pretty good as a relief pitcher for the Cardinals.
Yeah, the numbers aren't quite as shiny as maybe you'd hope for. A 3.76 ERA. That's pretty decent. A 1.50 whip, that's less decent. 40.2 innings this year. He does have, I believe, 8 saves, 12.8 Ks per 9. The swing and miss ability is big, 5.1 walks per 9. His command is a little shaky at times. And talking about peripherals, again, his FIP is 2.99. So there are reasons to believe that Jordan Hicks really could be a solid back end arm. Shawn, I don't know how you felt necessarily about what you saw today, though. It wasn't the most pristine ninth inning.
Not the most pristine, no, but I mean, I just like the idea of having the kind of just that power out of the back of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, I think some of the peripherals there suggest that he could be a pretty solid pitcher. And let's be real about the Cardinals. Like, nothing has gone well for them this year, very little at least. So, Arenado's been pretty good, but by and large, a lot has not gone well for this team. So you have to hope that you maybe put him with maybe a better pitching coach, maybe just a better staff in general. At this point, he's able to have an even better second half of the season if he were to be traded here. But yeah, he's certainly an intriguing arm to me, especially with the current state of this bullpen.
I do know. I think Dave Baptista in the chat said it. He said 103 mile per hour isn't all. We already have a guy. In fact, 2 guys that can throw that hard and didn't work.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we talk about though a lot is command, right? And to be able to throw 100 plus miles per hour and be able to command it is much different than just being able to simply throw it. And I think that's what we've seen out of the young guys within the Diamondbacks organization is a lack of command when it comes to that power. Jordan Hicks looks a bit more like he can control it, and yeah, maybe you get him with a Brent Strom or whatever. Maybe you can see him harness that. I don't know. I don't know if just simply comparing him to other power arms is right, because he's been able to do it at a major league level and been fairly successful. And let's take a look at some of those pros and cons, because that's the stuff we're zeroing in on. He's a closer. And that is something at this point that I think all of us are ready to see, is the Diamondbacks have an actual closer. And like I said, maybe a Scott McGuff as a setup man in the 8th inning, depending if you want to go that route. That 101 mile per hour average, pretty nice. And he gets a lot of ground balls.
Yeah, he has a career 60% ground ball rate, which is always pretty cool. Like if you have a reliever throws 101 and gets a lot of swing and miss and also keeps the ball on the ground, that's a winning combination, and it's why you can have a 1.5 whip and have an ERA under 4. It's because a lot of those are, singles. A lot of that contact is on the ground. On the con side, he has been a little inconsistent. You would think that with his quality of stuff, he would be a pretty elite back end arm. Just has never really been that guy. I believe he had a pretty good year last year, but on the whole in his career, he's basically been a league average pitcher. He really hasn't been that great. This year, he's been better than that for sure. Command has been a bit of an issue, as we said before, and he's also just a rental. He's just through the end of this season, which maybe brings the price down a little bit, but we'll have to see how the market develops. You're probably still paying a little bit more than you would like to. I will say that while Jordan Hicks' command is not great, I still wouldn't put him in the same category as like a Justin Martinez or a Carlos Vargas. Like those guys are just not really major league caliber pitchers at this point, at least from what we've seen. Jordan Hicks is a proven major league caliber pitcher who does walk a few more guys than you like, but his command is good enough to be effective in a way that just hasn't been for those guys.
So what is it going to take to get a Jordan Hicks? Is it going to take much considering he's a rental?
Well, we don't know, but we took a guess, and here's the guess that I came up with today. It's the Diamondbacks getting Jordan Hicks from the Cardinals and trading away right-handed pitcher Slade Ciccone and right-handed pitcher Michael Ohtani, who's a 26-year-old, I believe, down in Double-A. The biggest get here would be Slade Ciccone, a name that we've talked about on the show a decent amount. He's in Triple-A right now. He's putting up decent numbers there. Projects is probably a back-end starter, maybe a reliever when it's all said and done. That might feel like an overpay in itself. I mean, like controllable 6 years of a potential number 4, number 5 starter. Maybe you don't love giving that up for half a year of a back-end reliever. But if you think you're going to get this guy for, just Michael Ohtani or, just like a couple prospects that you haven't heard of, that's probably not going to happen. Jordan Hicks is a good enough reliever, well established enough in this game. The Cardinals aren't just going to give him away for nothing.
And I mean, the reality is that one trade is not going to fix this team, right? Like you need more than just one bullpen arm or whatever. So if this is a trade in the midst of a bunch of other trades that makes this team significantly better, like it's a lot easier to live with. Whereas if their one move at the deadline is getting rid of Ciccone for Hicks, who then it's like, what are we doing there?
Yeah, that's not enough to move the needle. So, I mean, it makes you feel a little bit more confident because hopefully if they do make that move, Torey makes that pivot himself to go to a closer role, and maybe we see things kind of, some consistency, just some, just the ability to hold a game without giving up runs, And
let's be real, the chat has been all over Torey. If you have a consistent closer and a consistent setup guy, your decision's made. Like you get to the 8th inning, you go to McGuff. You get to the 9th inning, you go to Hicks or whoever or Bednar or whatever closer they acquire if they acquire one. Like it's going to be a lot harder to criticize Torey on that point because he's kind of has his decision made for him.
He said the name that you guys wanted to hear him say. Well, we will have more trade deadline targets here for you tomorrow, so make sure to join us. We will be here tomorrow with our 1:00 show that we normally have on Mondays. And we're gonna do some Mailbag Tuesday stuff. So make sure to send us your questions, and your questions better not be how fast can we fire Torey or any of that stuff. Let's be productive here, folks. We're still in a good position, but we want to thank, of course, our friends at Pins and Aces for making us look so spiffy out on the golf course. Of course, Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of PHNX in All City. Make sure to check out our friends over at Big Drive Energy, wherever you get your podcasts if you're into golf. And that kind of thing. And of course, we love our Pins and Aces gear. Jesse was looking very fetching in his Phoenix polo the other day. So, of course, they are lightweight, they are stretchy, they are wonderful. So they make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and beer sleeves. So make sure to check them out. Pinsandaces.com. Use code PHNX to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. I'm particular about my patterned shirts. And Pins and Aces has won me over, especially with the fact that I can get like a matching ball marker that matches my shirt. I look pretty smooth out there on the golf course, but and that's only because of the clothes, not because of my game. You guys all know that.
Everyone knows that, Derek.
Shut up. Who did you beat in ping pong, Jesse? You talk such a big
I
game.
beat Max,
At least I am a
actually.
normal human being when it comes to knowing my level of participation, but I will beat you in a burrito eating contest, and you know
Yeah, you
that. There's
probably
no
would.
question about
Probably
that. We will take this straight to Burrito Express, and I know my homies over there will make sure they make me look good when I beat Jesse in that. But Burrito Express, it's my favorite thing to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, any time of the day. They have multiple Valley locations, and of course, they're all about our community. They're about community service. They're all about sponsoring ASU students and feeding ASU students. So make sure to check out their Tempe location specifically and all of their locations around the Valley. But we got to thank them, of course, for making us, filling us up on Monday morning with all sorts of wonderful breakfast burritos and such. So Burrito Express is the place to get yourself hooked up, especially, like I said, in Tempe. Grab a burrito and follow Burrito Express on Twitter, or is it X? What are we doing anymore? What do we call it?
Yeah, follow us on
The
on
URL
X.
still says Twitter.
We're calling
The
it
everything app.
It's
we're calling it
twitter.com.
the Twitter.
If you type in x.com in your URL, you know what happens? It takes you to GoDaddy. It's twitter.com.
Yeah, so on Twitter.
Does it?
Follow them at
No, it doesn't
Burrito
anymore.
No, they
yesterday.
fixed it for sure.
Yeah, it did
No,
yesterday.
it
fix it.
redirects to Twitter.
Yeah. Anyway.
But it still redirects to twitter.com.
You know what doesn't
true.
redirect you anywhere? Burrito Express. They'll just give you a burrito. That's the way that it works. They'll let you sit down in the restaurant and eat it there too. I'm sad and I'm ready to go. I don't want to talk about this game anymore, the series with the Reds or anything. I'm ready to see all of you tomorrow. Of course, like I said, Mailbag Tuesday. Make sure to send us your questions. Make sure to join us for our takeover event tomorrow night. We got a burger bar, which kicks off at Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers. We got that burger bar. All you can drink, all you can eat, all sorts of wonderfulness. So make sure to join us for that. And then we're going to be down kind of in left field for the game. So bring your glove, I guess. I don't know. Grown men should probably bring their gloves. I'm not gonna shame you. But you can follow us on Twitter. In the meantime, I'm at cap_caveman with a K. This guy next to me is at Shawn_DePaz. That maniac over there is at Jesse N. Friedman. The Faj behind the Mac is at Jacob Franklin
_Franklin4.
_Franklin4. Thank you very much. I got it.
There's a
your
lot
help.
of Jacob Franklins in this world.
There are too many, in fact.
Unfortunate.
Way too
You're
many.
one of 4 though, huh?
He's just the fourth.
He's
Yeah,
the fourth in line.
I just took the number 4.
He's gonna usurp Jacob _Franklin 1 of these days.
Whenever one of the Jacobs dies, he gets a new number. So eventually he'll move up to 3.
Anyway. Well, we love you guys. Of course, our Twitter account is at PHNX D-backs, but all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you so much for your time. Even in a loss, we appreciate you showing up. Baseball is fun, kids, but it's really not fun when you watch this bullpen give up 17 straight games with an earned run.